Stale. Smart
Stale,
food.
smart food. Best.
Is it really?
Only our theater would have stale, smart food.
I know. Why? What do you mean?
Why?
Well, I don't know. We could talk about that today. We could talk it up more. About waste. I've noticed a lot of waste.
Yeah.
Even, just... I can't remember if I mentioned this last week.
I'm not going to waste it.
But
I'm going to eat it.
You are eating stale smart food.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I do. You could give it to your chickens. I don't know, is cheese good for chickens?
I was going to say, I'm not going to pollute my chickens with what we pollute ourselves with.
What? You're going to treat yourself worse than you treat... See, this is the problem. This is what I see. I think the world is absolutely insane right now in the way that we are consuming, wasting. Our trash cans have been filled with plastic bottles and waste. And I feel like, if I don't do something about it, I'm going to get as crazy as everybody else. So I have now banned plastic bottles from my theater. I just did it. There are whole cities now that are banning plastic bottles.
Really?
Bottles. Yes.
I didn't hear this.
Yes. Look it up online. It is.
So what happens if you have a
serious
plastic
thing.
bottle and you come into their city?
I don't know. You might get a fine or something.
Uh-huh. So if you have a plastic bottle, where
I think it's more that they can't be sold. Like water and plastic bottles can't be sold.
Right.
Because seriously, it has become a huge problem. So in order to fix that problem, we are going to be ordering stainless steel water bottles. Like 26-ounce stainless steel water bottles that are recyclable in their own right. But they have a huge lifespan, and they're antibacterial and, they're all good. And I want to see more people doing that. I want to see more people using and reusing and, wash a cup. Wash a cup.
Yeah.
Even from Dunkin' Donuts right across the street, how many people frequent there and get a plastic cup and slurp, it's gone, and then it's in the trash. It's not even recycled,
I know. I love this lady. She comes into the Y, and she has a different mug every day. She has a different mug, but she brews her coffee at home, and she puts it in that cup.
Look, I'm as big a fan as buying coffee as the next guy. I like a latte. I like my coffee. But you know what I did? I actually went over to Cape Ann Coffees this last week, and I brought my own mug.
How'd that feel?
It felt great because I knew what the ounceage. It's actually not a mug. It's a glass bottle. It's like a thermos, and I knew that it was 17 ounces, right? So I said, "So what are the ounces in your cups?" Because they didn't have them listed anywhere, and it was 8, 17, and 20, something like that. And I said, "Oh, well, this is a 17-ounce cup." So I got charged for a medium coffee, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I have actually gone pretty paleo lately. You know what that means? Like the caveman way of eating. And there's something called bullet coffee, which is the best thing ever. If you haven't tried bullet coffee, it's where instead of cream and sugar, you put a pat of butter and a scoop of coconut oil and then blend the heck out of it. And it gets this foam on the top. It's like a cappuccino. You put a little cinnamon on top.
I would like
it's
that.
Sweet. It's creamy. And the caffeine is boosted because of the fat in the thing. This whole, remember back in the 80s and the 70s that eating fat makes you fat? And that's absolutely lie. It's like, it's not true. And I've already dropped, people have been telling me that I look like I've lost weight. And it's because I've been eating more fat and more protein and less carbs. Right? I rarely do any, potatoes or breads or pastas, which is really hard to do in Gloucester. I have to say, it's really hard to do in Gloucester. But my carb of choice, if I'm going to go for a white food, is popcorn. But then I'll put something good in it, like, I'll pop it in coconut oil or bacon fat, and that's really tasty and really delicious. So, so the bullet coffee, so I put a pat of butter and some coconut oil in the bottom of my thermos, and I took it to the counter, and she said, "Would you like me to rinse this out?" I said, "No, that's there on purpose." And
Does
so,
she whip it for it? Does she?
No, but what I did was, because it was in the thermos, I just shook it.
Oh, okay.
And it didn't do the same exact thing as a blender. I like the blender better because it sort of, it didn't incorporate fully, and so there was a bit of fat at the top that was a little greasy. But if you have one of those bullet blenders or just a regular blender, except you got to be careful. One thing I found, even if my hand is on the top of the blender and I turn it on, it goes psh, and I don't know if it's just because it's watery coffee or whatever.
You need just a mini.
I need a mini
blender, like a
blender
mini.
or a hand blender. Hand mixers are great too. So bullet coffee. But you can. The point is that you are allowed, people, to bring in your own vessel for coffee or tea at any of these coffee shops. They will gladly fill your cup, right? Mm-hmm. And then you are really I mean, yeah, it's a little bit of a pain to carry your own thing around, but you're going to carry your coffee cup around with you while you're drinking it, or you're going to carry a bottle of water around with you when you're drinking.
Does it fit in the cup holder? I'm sure that's a lot of people's. Make sure you get one that fits
it's
in your
yours.
Cup holder.
Yeah, well, the stainless steel ones that we're ordering definitely fit in the cup holder. I did look for that. And I looked for an ecologically responsible green company as well that makes these. So, I think we all should take a moment to pause and reflect and think about, what are we doing? What are we doing? What are we feeding our kids? What are we feeding ourselves? We just have to wake up. And I know it's convenient to do all the other stuff, but you think about how much kids, you spend on water.
The chickens don't talk back, and the chickens, what I give them, they eat happily. They don't complain about it. They just eat it, and they're grateful that I'm there to fill up their chicken food at 6 a.m. because he's cock-a-doodle-doing because AJ didn't take care of the chickens last night. So he had me up at 6 a.m. I go down there. There's no water or food. So they were grateful that I was there to fill their
So you're saying...
So my kids are just like...
That because your kids complain that you're going to feed your chickens better than you would your kids?
Because they're always like, ew, I'm not going to eat that.
But don't you think that feeds the problem, though? If you always give your kids what they're complaining about, don't you think that causes that doesn't? Does that teach them to complain when they don't like something instead of buckling down and learning to like or trying something new?
I haven't given them this lesson yet about what I did this morning and how the chickens came.
How do you think they'll receive the lesson? Your kids are pretty good about hearing lessons, though, right?
Right. And Novely now eats what I put out there. It's Cashton's going through that age where he's going to figure it out.
Right. What do you think of that? What do you think of that, audience? Do you think that you should only give your kids things that they like? And if all they like is pizza and McDonald's and macaroni and cheese and corn dogs, is that the right message? And is that going to help their development? Because brain development, you guys, starts in the gut. It really does. It's what you put in your system that feeds your brain. Your brain is made up of like 90%, 80 or 90% fat. And it needs fat to replenish itself, right? So what are the healthy fats?
Good fat. Yeah, I was just going to say
what are the healthy fats. What are the good fats?
Healthy fats.
Butter, real lard, not Crisco, but real lard, olive oil, other nut oils, right? Nuts are great. Now, there's this big panic about, nut allergies. What's up with that? We never had nut allergies when I was growing up. That's got to be a new thing. I don't know. But people are panicked about it. But if your kids can eat nuts, then they should eat nuts. This whole paleo thing, this caveman thing, the whole premise is that basically what we are designed to eat is what our ancestors running across the savannah naked with a spear would eat, right? They didn't eat grains because they had no way of processing grains. And grains need to be processed because they're too harsh for our system.
Right.
We're not a cow that has 4 stomachs to process that stuff.
Right.
Right?
True.
We don't have the teeth to grind down those hard grains, right? Even oats, we have to flatten them out. We have to make them, and use the steel cut oats. We still have to cut them, right? We can't eat them whole. So I don't think we're meant to eat grains. And I tell you, I feel better. My skin is better. My energy is better when I'm not eating grains. And the other part of it is sugar. Yeah. Sugar is known to cause inflammation, right? In your body and I think in your mind too. They say it's proven that sugar does not cause hyperactivity in kids, but I think it does inflame them. I think it does inflame something and it gets them all, ugh.
It's weird.
It's weird. It's a chemical reaction that happens with kids. And yet, what do I see all the time is kids eating and drinking sugar, pure sugar. What is that about? If we know better, why don't we do better? Is my question. If we know better, why don't we do better?
Yeah, it's like, I know what to feed the chickens to make them produce these eggs.
Right.
I know that.
Right.
Like, I know. So I do it.
How do you know?
How do I know? Because I researched, not to feed them.
Right.
So,
have you researched
how to feed your kids?
How to feed your kids? Like, as they're growing, what nutrients do they need for optimal output and growth and development of their mind and their body? We don't
I just
do
do
that.
The food pyramid.
We don't do that. Don't do the food pyramid.
I just do. Make sure you eat your fruit for
food,
lunch.
The food pyramid is
Make
reversed.
sure you do your veggies for dinner. And drink lots of water. And,
actually, you don't want to overdo water.
We have protein with every meal.
People say that, you have to do all this water. But what they forget is that part of that 8 ounces...
Well, they don't drink a lot of water. I'm
right,
not over water.
Where you get a lot of water is from the food that you eat too.
Right.
Right? If you're cooking something, if you're making a soup, or if you're eating vegetables or salads or any kind of vegetable, it's going to be full of water, right? Celery, whatever. That adds to that 8 ounce glasses of water a day.
True.
And a lot of people are overhydrating, right? So you have to be aware of that because that can make you sick too. But it doesn't take a whole lot to understand. In fact, it's really all in the palm of your hand. Okay, somebody taught me this once. So, hold up your hand. All right, so do you see how I'm a bigger guy, right, than you, right? And so my palm is so much bigger than yours, right? That is about the size of a piece of steak or a chicken breast or a pork chop, right? You would have a smaller one, right? This is the amount of protein, about the thickness and size of your palm. Okay? That's about the size of the protein that you should have with every meal.
Ooh, I don't think I could eat that much.
This, in your fingers, well, at maximum.
Yeah.
Right? So even if you had half of that, right?
A half.
And then your fingers section should be carbs. But not bread and pasta and grains.
That's each meal?
Yeah. It's vegetables and fruits. Right?
Okay.
If we know that grains and sugar, because grains turn to glucose right away in our system.
Right.
They give us the same spike of sugar because they turn to sugar in our system, right? So if you think of carbs exclusively as being fruits and vegetables, right? So that's about, in ratio, right?
So that's your fruit and vegetables?
Fruit and veg. And then your thumb is the amount of fat you should have. Healthy fat with your meal, every meal. And that's the ratio. So for me, you see my fingers and my palm are almost exactly the same.
So that's about how much
size.
peanut butter I put in your sandwich.
Is that no? You didn't.
I loaded my peanut butter up with peanut butter.
You
I
did.
always do.
And well, but peanut butter is a healthy fat,
Right. So.
Right. So that's good. Right. So you want
That's like a
that
whole
much
jar
fat.
of peanut butter.
My thumb, yeah, probably. But I'm a bigger guy. I'm 6'2". You know, I'm beefy and I have big bones, and I'm
Right.
Neanderthal. So that's I'm gonna need more to sustain my body
Right.
than you are
Yeah, because
as your
I
petite
don't
self,
really.
right? But if you think of, because you eat more carb than protein right now, right?
I
Like,
don't
if
know.
you look
Like
at
that
your hand-
banana. What would you say that banana was?
That was a carb.
So that would be all that? Was that the amount?
Uh-huh.
So if I
Yeah, but where was your protein? You had the fat,
had
and you
isn't
had the carb,
peanut
'cause
butter
you had-
protein?
no, it's a fat,
It's a fat.
because nuts are fat. You also had, there is protein in
I
peanut
was
butter,
gonna
but it's
say.
not like the main protein, right? But you had bread and jelly, which are all carb,
And the banana.
and banana, which is all carb, right? Did you have any protein with your lunch at all?
No, because I thought peanut butter was my protein.
Right, but you got to read labels. You got to see how much protein is in there, right? If it's more fat than protein, then you got to ramp up your protein,
Right.
girl. You do. You got to ramp up your proteins, And I know people post on my Facebook page a lot about bacon, because I don't know why. I mentioned one time on somebody's post about bacon, ooh, I really like bacon, and now I'm the bacon king of Facebook. And people are always posting about bacon, but actually bacon is really good. It's got a balance of protein and fat,
Right.
that you need. And then, but it's more fat than protein, and so that's why bacon and eggs are really great,
True.
But you don't want to cook them in olive oil, because olive oil has a low flash point, which means that once it reaches a certain heat, the chemical compounds change and it becomes more toxic than helpful. You want to look for coconut oil or peanut oil, both have a high, grapeseed oil, I think, also have a high flash point. So that means you can heat them really, really hot, and it's not going to degrade them or turn them toxic. Olive oil you want to put on top of your food. I don't think you should cook with it. Unless you're doing like a gentle saute or something,
Right.
You can do with olive oil. But I should teach a class
Or like
on
in a
this.
marinade.
Well, a marinade is
With olive
on
oil.
top, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are better ways to feed ourselves and our kids. And I think that we really all need to wake up a little bit and say,
So
it's not as hard as people think. And it's not as expensive as people think. People think, oh, if I go all organic and blah, blah, blah. But think about the money you save in doctor bills,
right.
too. I mean, if you're healthy,
And it's
you
not
save
that
yourself on
much
suffering.
more.
It's all about that inflammation, I think. For me, and I've been, what was my highest weight ever? I think was 365 pounds. I was big, I'm always going to be a big guy, but I was really, really big at 365. And after having had cancer, I had to really look at my nutrition and think about, okay, what is common sense? What is common sense?
Right.
We do have a problem.
We do.
In our culture, and it's that convenience problem, whether it's the plastic bottle issue or whether it's eating food that has a label versus a food that you can pick up and say, oh, I know, I can recognize this food. Right? You can't recognize it if it's pulverized in a box. I was having a conversation with one of the kids the other day. They had no idea what concentrated juice was.
Oh.
Like from concentrate.
Yeah.
And basically they suck all the water and nutrition out of the fruit, and then they add water to reconstitute it. It's like, why?
So it could be on a shelf.
Well, yeah, but wouldn't you rather squeeze an orange and get the nutrition? And if it's on the shelf,
but they like it.
And all the nutrition they have to add back in.
Right.
Right? And now they're adding all this other nutrition like vitamin D and vitamin E and all this other
When it was
stuff.
already there to begin with.
It was there to begin with. Pick up a freaking orange, people. You know,
Have you
or
ever seen the
grapefruit.
kids like poke a straw in an orange? Do kids still do that?
Uh-uh.
No.
I remember there was this thing that used to be able to plug into an orange and then squeeze the orange and the juice would come out.
Oh.
That was really cool, like a spout, like a spigot. All right, so that's our Talk It Up More. If you have ideas, comments, thoughts on all this, write into us. info@northshorefolk.org.
Feed your kids like you feed the chickens.
Better than you feed the chickens, or at least as good, right? Because if you're going to be eating what the chicken puts out, eggs or meat,
right?
You want to know that
That's why.
that you're getting the best
kinda like-
quality,
Yeah.
right? And who
our
wouldn't
kids
want...
are going to be producing
and they
children
deserve
someday.
it. They deserve to
Right?
eat well and teach them how to cook. We were talking about that earlier.
We were.
You know, teach your kids how to cook and to
Yeah.
use ingredients beautifully. It's important.
Amen.
Doesn't take much, right?
It doesn't.
All right, that's our Talk It Up More lecture for the day.
It takes patience to have your kids cook with you. My kids are just now getting to that point.
It does, but
They're
love
6
it,
and 5.
don't
They're
they?
like, can I help? I'm like, yes. Ooh, you can help. It's hard.
It's worth it. It's worth
Just
it.
ask Kit Cox, he'll tell you.
Yeah, Kit Cox, his boys just opened up the lobster pool, the new owners of the lobster pool, and he was a, you know,
He taught them how to
he's a
cook, and he's
dad who
like,
taught his boys how to cook,
boy,
and-
why did I teach them how to cook?
It's worth it. All right, we're
Share
at
your
22
gifts.
minutes.
Share
Share
your
your gifts with your kids first. They're your number one fans.
That's right. Number
All
one
right.
fans.
Love you. See you next week. Write into us. Get in on the conversation because we're getting a little tired of talking all by
I
ourselves
know.
here. All right, or come be a
Sue
guest.
just makes fun of our Sue Jakes.
Sue Jakes,
She
you
just
make
makes
fun of
fun
us.
of our like opening pictures. You know how it like freezes at the
Oh right. It's random.
yeah. It's
It's
like
so
random.
random.
She's like, I just love these.
Yeah, they're fun.